And good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners Board meeting for Tuesday, February 4, 2020. And by way of introductions, I'm John Hutchings, the chair of the board. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. And to his right is the clerk of the board, La Bonita Bomar. To her right on the bench is the county manager, Ramiro Chavez, and assistant county manager, Robin Campbell. Thank you very much for being here. And we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Edwards.
If you'll join me in the pledge, and if you lose your place, it's up on the wall. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. With that, I look for an approval of today's agenda.
Move to approve today's agenda.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda. Are there any amendments?
No, sir.
Nope.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. And the board meeting minutes from January 28th?
Move to approve board meeting minutes from January 28th.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes from January 28th, 2020. Any changes, corrections?
No, sir.
Nope.
Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Now we're to the point of the agenda, number one, the opportunity for the public to address the board. And I have a list here. If you haven't signed up yet, feel free to sign up in the back. And even at the end of this list, I will give everybody or anybody an opportunity to address the board if they haven't thus far. And here's some general guidelines we'd ask you to adhere to, please. When you come to the podium, please introduce yourself, including your address where you reside in the county. And please address the board and not staff. Please silence your cell phones if you have not done so already. And this is your opportunity to address the board. This is not a chance for question, answers, and debate and discussion between the board. Speakers are limited to a total of 3 minutes each, and you are not allowed to designate your time or pass it on to somebody else. And the board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for a good cause. Please, no comments that are lewd, offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in any nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind, and no comments that are commercial in nature, such as a promotion for a for-profit business. Any materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW. And any remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before this board on appeal are not welcomed as well. Thank you very much for your cooperation and understanding. And what I'll do is I will call the first person in order as you signed up, and the next person that's the runner-up, so they're standing on deck ready to go. And the first one is John Pettit, followed by Jack Grimes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. Lots of sound here. I'm calling and talking to you today about something that you're going to be taking some action on a little bit later, which is going to be the ordinance that is going to send it to the auditor's office for the tax increase that's planned. And I had taken note of several things about that particular ordinance, and I, of course, am also listed as a person that will be in opposition to the ordinance also. One of the things I wanted to bring forth to you is that in this ordinance that you have created in order to move the parameters forward and send it to the auditor's office is you have specific language for the ordinance and the ballot title. I distributed a little bit earlier a little statement about anticipated language of ballot measures, and one of the factors is that the two different parts I'll be addressing. One is the statement of the subject matter. Well, the statement of the subject matter, as much as what you might want to call it the Thurston County Courthouse and administrative buildings, is not actually the statement of what the measure is. The statement is probably much better put by your county manager, which was the statement, the county's asking voters to increase regular property taxes. You have 10 words to describe what the actual intent is, but that's what it's stated. So I want to bring that up. And then you have a concise statement. Now, another limiting factor is 75 words. This is by state law and state side. We don't get to just do what we want. And surprisingly enough, when you send this down to the auditor is actually supposed to make this up and then send it back to you with what the correct language will be. So as much as you might want it to say one thing, it doesn't necessarily mean it does. Ultimately, though, it's also subject to being appealed, because these statements can both be appealed to the courts, and I'm not sure if when this gets appealed, should it not have proper language, it won't end up down in Lewis County, because all of our judges up here have already vocalized their opinions, which might violate them from making a decision. I do expect to see substantial change. I hope you're ready. If it says that it's for a tax increase that you're ready to accept, that's what you're approving to go on the ballot. The only other thing I'm going to mention real briefly is that I've created a lot of documents indicating what I know sounds objectionable to say 38.5% tax increase. Well, the actual rate increase now, with the difference of how the levies rate in general went down to where the 47 cents being added onto it, it's now 43.4% increase in tax rate. Thank you.
Jack Grimes, followed by Paul Shorb.
Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to address the board. My name is Jack Grimes, and I live on 76th Avenue Northeast in North Thurston County. I'm here to make my statement regarding the entire budget for 2019 and 2020. I believe that you as Commissioners have a responsibility to pass a balanced budget, that the department heads should be required to operate within those amounts without increasing them. The budget should not be increased every year, and the current need for a new courthouse and offices for county staff should be part of the budget this year and each year forward without tax increases. This should be something that we have addressed and continue to do, and not do it with a special ballot election. Each year, we're already paying increased taxes because of the valuation increases that are put in place by the county auditor, and it's a little sneaky for the people that own property or rent on how these costs get passed on to us, and it reduces the amount of money that we have to maintain our homes and pay our own living expenses. The Commissioners have the authority to make the decisions necessary to make this happen without wasting $177,000 on a special election to ask us to approve an additional property tax. The residents in Thurston County are one of the highest tax counties in the state of Washington. We are currently paying, we're seventh in all the counties in Washington in the amount of property taxes that we pay. There appears to be, so far, a pervasive misconception by our elected officials and the county staff that the citizens of Thurston County have money that they can give to the county for this tax increase. The majority of us are just being able to pay our bills and put food on the table, pay for our health care and utilities. Our taxes are based on a dollar amount per thousand of value determined by the assessor's office each time the residents of the county are asked to approve a special levy of any sort. They are presented as a very small amount, which is deceiving on its face because there's never a mention of the total amount that we are actually paying when you combine them all, which this is verifiable data from downstairs. We are paying approximately $12 per thousand now on our values. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Shorb, followed by Lisa Sedan. Okay.
Thank you.
And then Lisa, and then followed by Sharon Coons.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Cezanne. I live in unincorporated Thurston County. I'm here today representing Thurston Climate Action Team. I'm on 2 committees in TCAT, and I also represent Olympia Indivisible on the TCAT Coordinating Council. TCAT has been involved in the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. We have advocated for it and have given our suggestions regarding priorities, including underscoring the importance of carbon sequestration through regenerative agriculture practices and proper tree management. We also support reduction of greenhouse gas emissions through the most potent emitters, transportation and buildings. I would like to see the county support the plan and remain involved. At the Plan Steering Committee meeting on January 23rd, I was encouraged to hear the county's staff representative talk about what the county is doing to address climate change, such as considering an opportunity to fund a more energy-efficient courthouse. There is so much the county could do that would be in accord with this plan. I, for one, would like to see enhanced public transportation consisting of electric buses throughout the county, including underserved rural areas. There is no public transportation where I live, and I would welcome the chance to ditch my car and take the bus downtown. The steering committee has now identified its top 50 priorities. The completed plan will be submitted in June. There are many bills before our legislature right now, such as Governor Inslee's climate pollution bill and the Clean Fuels bill, that are pushing for a practical approach to the very real threat to our health and to our natural environment. If these bills are passed into law, it makes sense that Thurston County have a plan that is in alignment with our state's goals to create solutions for the negative effects of climate change. At the last steering committee meeting, I listened with interest to the input of Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater council members and staff. I was so impressed by the collegiality, serious engagement, and creative thinking on the part of our local cities. The cities are now making greenhouse gas emissions reductions a priority. The city of Olympia is creating a climate czar position. Olympia Councilwoman Lisa Parsley recommended that the steering committee not be sunsetted after the plan is complete, and I agree with her. The efforts to mitigate climate change will be ongoing and will require adaptation as time goes on. It will be important for all the local governments to continue to participate. There are a couple more steering committee meetings before June. The next one is February 27th. I know you're all really busy with next to impossible workloads, but I'd love to be represented by one of you at these steering committee meetings, and I encourage you to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sharon?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sharon Coons, Thurston County. Thursday morning, prior to your docket briefing, which is Thursday afternoon, I'm going to bring in about another 1,500 to 1,600 more signatures on Rocky Prairie so that you'll have them for the docketing briefing. We're hanging on to them and trying to weed out any duplicates so that your staff doesn't go crazy trying to do that. So we just thought, well, it takes quite a while, so we'll bring those in then. The other area I decided to make an announcement on today is that another group has joined the Coalition to Protect Rocky Prairie from North Point's industrialization. They're a serious group nationwide, and we're very pleased that the Olympia chapter has joined us, but I cannot say their name without laughing, and I apologize to them. I hope they understand. We appreciate them and take them seriously, but their name cracks me up. It's the Great Old Broads for Wilderness. They've joined us now. Thank you.
Thank you. That exhausts the list of folks that have signed up. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the board that has not spoken already? Yes, sir. Come on up, please. And state your name so I can get it down and where you live.
My name is Joe Hiss, and I live at 225 17th Avenue Southeast in Olympia. And I would like to, I'm actually working along with Lisa Cezanne as a partner in Thurston County Action Team. So most of my presentation, she did a fantastic job. I just want to emphasize the urgency of county action, that this is something that is worldwide, but the county has a role. So whatever we can do let's do it. At least hit the 50 most important items that that Lisa already mentioned, but consider doing the others as well. Certainly the Thurston County Management Plan has been really, getting into the weeds of all this and making sure that no stone was left unturned. So I'm very, very happy to have been a part of that project selection process, and I hope that when the public involvement period comes up soon, that I'll be a part of that too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the board that has not already? Anyone? 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 Thank you. That takes us to agenda item number 2, which is the county manager's update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd just like to follow up with a couple of public testimonies that you received last week on your offsite meeting. I think one is from Mr. Schraub and Mr. Pettit, and that is related to the Faith Harvest Helpers. That's a current application that is going through the process. The staff from the Community Planning Economic Development is actively engaged with the applicant as well as with the representative of the applicant, and continue to work with them to find a resolution to all the outstanding issues on this particular property. And I'm refraining from give you additional details at this point related to this particular application, because this matter could be going to the hearing examiners. And as a result, the decision of the hearing examiners could be appealed before you acting as a quasi-judicial body. So as a result, I cannot give you specifically information about this permit, because again, this matter could become before you as a quasi-judicial matter. And I believe from my perspective, you need to remain objective if that comes to fruition. The other item, you receive public testimony from Ms. Schemmel, Ms. Davis, and this is related to what they call the homeless encampment, the jungle, and the potential water quality issues down the Water Bay and Water Creek. I have asked our homeless coordinator, Keely Murno, to get in touch with Ms. Schemmel, and she is currently in touch with her. We also have offered to go ahead and our environmental health staff to do some water testing to determine if there is any contaminants related to this particular activities. And I just want to let you know that we're actively working on this particular matter, and as soon as we get the results of the water quality testing, we'll bring back to you. I believe we have a briefing on overall water quality issues in the afternoon of February 26th. Hopefully we can get the results of the water quality testing at that time.
Okay.
And that's all I have for you, unless you have any particular questions for me.
Questions or comments?
No, sir.
Any questions or comments? I would ask you, thank you for the update on the permit issue and our quasi-judicial role and the sage advice you have. Not briefing us on that. We had a good, robust discussion about that this morning at our work session. Do you have any questions or comments to the county manager?
No.
Okay. Then we're going to move on to agenda item number 3, which is the consent calendar, items A through F.
I would move to approve consent items 3A through 3F.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve consent items A through F. Any further discussion on any of those issues
No, sir.
or items? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Agenda item number 4, the county manager regarding amending an ordinance.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. As a matter of background, this is related to the ordinance the Board of County Commissioners, the majority of the board approved on November 12, 2019. That is ordinance number 15840. Ordinance number 15840 provided for the submission to the qualified electors to the county at a special election to be held on April 28, 2020, of a proposition authorizing the county to levy regular property taxes in excess of the limitations of Chapter 84.55 of the RCW, excepting qualified seniors, disabled, and veterans pursuant RCW 84.36.381, and setting forth the text of the ballot proposition. Also, under ordinance number 15840, which was adopted by the majority of the board, could not set the final dollar rate of the proposed ballot title because levy calculations are based on the 2020 assessed values, and these values could not be known until January 2020. Also, ordinance 15840 under section 5 anticipated that the board will need to take another action prior to the February 28, 2020, and prior to certifying a copy of the ordinance to the Thurston County Auditor and to set the final dollar rate of the proposed ballot title. So this proposed resolution number 15864 that is before you, the final dollar rate for the ballot title is set in section 4 of this past ordinance 15840 is at $1.56 per 1,000 valuation, which is the 2020 levy rate of $1.08. Actually, it's $1.08.32 per 1,000 valuation, plus the estimated increase of the 0.47 cents per 1,000 valuation over the 2020 levy rate. A little complicated, but we need to establish what is the actual base levy rate for 2020 before this ballot can go to the voters. So in essence, the ballot title will ask the voters to increase by 0.47 cents per 1,000 valuation over the 2020 levy rate set for you. That's all I have for now, unless you have any specific questions for me.
You have any questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Questions or comments? Go ahead.
I do have a question. So this morning when we discussed this, we were really focused on the levy rate and the numbers that were not filled in previously. We did not have a discussion about the ballot title and description that we've received public comment on a couple of times.
Right.
Is there a piece of what we're approving that relates to that?
Yeah, the ballot title in the description is being reviewed by your prosecuting attorney who has experience and expertise in developing ballot titles. And I can read the ballot title that is proposed in this ordinance if you like.
Can you do that?
Yes, sir. So proposition number 1, it states Thurston County Courthouse and Administrative Regional Buildings. Proposition number 1, that's the title. And the body of the propositions states the Board of County Commissioners of Thurston County adopted ordinances number 15840 and 15864. That ordinance is before you this afternoon. Concerning property taxes for a new courthouse and administrative buildings, to finance construction of buildings to consolidate county offices, included payments on bonds and other county purposes. This proposition will increase the county's 2021 regular property tax levy to a total authorized rate of $1.56 per 1,000 valuation. Open parentheses. Estimated increase of 47 cents per 1,000 over the 2020 levy, close parentheses, excepting qualified seniors / disabled / veterans from the levy, and use of the 2021 levy as the base for subsequent levy limitations for a total of 25 years. And then move on, should these propositions be either approved or reject. That is included on the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So is there a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance amending ordinance number 15840, and setting the final dollar rate for the proposed ballot title for the Thurston County Courthouse and Administrative Regional Buildings Proposition Number 1 to be included in the April 28, 2020 special election.
And I second that. So it's been moved and seconded to amend ordinance number 15840 and set the final dollar rate for the proposed ballot title. Any comments or discussion?
No, sir.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, the motion carries. And then number 4B, appointment of the con statements committee members.
So the next two item was predicated whether the majority vote in this case will take an action on the previous item. Also, before sending the ballot proposition to the county auditor, the Board of County Commissioners also have to make an effort to secure or select 3 individuals that will serve as a con committee and also as a pro committee. Those committees will be writing a con statement and a pro statement that will be part of the ballot measure when the voters read this proposition. So item 4B for your consideration is to appoint Mr. John Pettit, Mr. Glenn Morgan, and Mr. Kevin O'Sullivan to the con statement committee to write an opposition statement.
Okay, any questions?
No, sir.
Questions or comments?
No.
Oh, me neither.
I move to appoint Mr. John Pettit, Mr. Glenn Morgan, and Mr. Kevin O'Sullivan to the Con Statement Committee to write an opposition statement for the Thurston County Courthouse and Administrative Regional Buildings Proposition Number 1 for inclusion in the ballot measure for the April 28, 2020 special election.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint the con statement committee members. Any further discussion on that?
No, sir.
Anything? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. And then 4C, appointment of the pro statement committee members.
On the flip side, the commissioners will also need to make an effort to secure individuals who can serve on the pro committee to write a pro statement before the voters. This proposal is for you to consider appointing Representative Beth Dolio, Mayor Cheryl Selby, and Mayor J.W. Foster to the pro statement committee to write a support statement.
May I ask a question?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Where did those names come from?
Yep, thank you. Thank you. The con statement, I received a formal letter from Mr. Pettit where he recommended the 3 individuals. And from the pro committee, I received a formal email requesting those 3 individuals be appointed to the pro committee from Mr. Trevor Zundell. And he is an attorney in town.
And is there confirmation that those individuals are
As far as I know, that has been confirmed.
confirmed? Okay. Then, based on that, I would move to approve Representative Beth Dolio, Mayor Cheryl Selby, and Mayor J.W. Foster to the Pro Statement Committee to write a support statement for the Thurston County Courthouse and Administrative Regional Buildings Proposition Number 1 for inclusion in the ballot measure for the April 28, 2020 special election.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint the pro statement committee members. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, that motion carries as well. That takes us to 4D, the commissioners reporting back on our last week. And Commissioner Edwards.
Well, seems like last week there was issues involving clean water and biosolids, a couple of environmental issues that I'm very concerned about. But there were a bunch of things involving young people last week. And I attended 4 different nonprofit organization activities, and it was all about kids. And many of you have heard me say this in the past, that kids are 30% of our population, but 100% of our future. And last week it was very apparent that there's a lot of people out there helping young people. And I just want to put a plug in for something I had no idea was going on over in Lacey. There's a comic book shop, Gabby's Kids. It's a 501c3. Really attends to the needs of lots of young people. And I think that the owner of that organization, on her own, does as much, I won't say as much as everybody else, but she does an awful lot to help getting kids back on the right track. And I just want to put a plug into her because it is a 501c3 that she maintains there in case anybody wants to help her out in this endeavor, but really does an exceptional job with youth.
That is fabulous.
To follow up on that, and Gabby was, or the owner of that bookstore was awarded an award last year, and I don't know if it was business or entrepreneurship or Phoenix Award, something where she was recognized for that work that she does, and it's brilliant. It really is very touching what she does for the kids, for the youth.
I also had an opportunity to meet with Stephanie Pratt, and she works for the state of Washington out of the Department of Commerce on human trafficking. And apparently there is a lot of that is going on in our community. The sheriff has been very active with the state patrol in addressing some of those needs, but it was nice to hear at the Sunday football game on TV, there was quite a push recognizing the need to intervene in some of this human trafficking with young people that are led astray. And so another case the whole week ended up being involved mostly in kids.
Beautiful. Commissioner Menser.
Yes, community events I was able to attend since our last meeting was right after we left the Farm Bureau. I was able to shoot over and grab the tail end of the Long Lake Management District community meeting, and that was very useful. Got to meet some of the key residents there and see what they're planning for Long Lake. Was at the Olympia Kiwanis breakfast the next morning and the Big Brothers Big Sisters brunch, a couple events that my seatmates I believe were also there. Attended the sheriff's management meeting on Friday to kind of get a good wrap up of year-end statistics and trends in our local law enforcement. Attended the drug court graduation in Superior Court, which is always really inspiring to see how folks have turned their lives completely around based on the investments that we've made in that program. A very interesting event. It was hosted by the Women's Commission, which is a fairly new group from the last year, created, I believe, by the governor's office. It was hosted at the Secretary of State, and what it was the first public event for the new LGBTQ Commission. And we got a chance to meet the new director there, Manny Salazar, and hear some speeches by some legislators that are working with that commission and some of the key legislation that they're supporting. So that was a good event. And then on Saturday night was the Interfaith Works, I think they call it Eye to Eye Gala, but it was an excellent event, bursting at the seams, so very heartening. We have such a battle to confront with our homeless and housing situations in Thurston County, and there was a ton of community support. We were at the Church of the Good Shepherd and basically bringing in tables, and the place was crammed. So it was an excellent turnout and an excellent event for Interfaith Works, who are embarking on a very big shelter expansion project this year.
Thank you. This has been a kids' week because I did attend that annual Caring for Kids breakfast sponsored by the Kiwanis. And ironically enough, this morning in the paper, the Daily Olympian, they reprinted an article from the New York Times stating that 1.5 students in the 2017-2018 school year, that 1.5 million students nationally are homeless. And they are, right, our future. And they do talk about how to address that or jump in and intervene in their lives and they're going to study the future of those youth that are homeless in following their lives. Are they going to follow into the same footsteps as homelessness and despair? Are they going to get jobs? Are they hopeful? That type of study is going to entail now. I attended the Thurston Mason BH Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization, as well as my seatmate. And it's a very moving target with the healthcare system in the state and how things are moving and shifting. There's even current legislation being proposed this legislative session regarding involuntary treatment that would take someone from a 3-day involuntary commitment to 5 days, which is good for the patient, perhaps, good for the family and support network, but it ties up more beds for a longer period of time. So it's kind of dicey, and there's issues with a neighboring BHA that we're watching to see how they're going to survive and how they're going to morph into the future. And then last Thursday, I attended the big brunch called the Big Brothers and Big Sisters brunch as well, and heartwarming stories of kids that have been taken under the wings of adult mentors as well, and there's a real need for that. So if you have any penchant for mentoring young men and women, it's a great organization to get involved with. And that was the extent of my week. So with that, I turn to the county manager.
Yeah, Commissioner, let me walk you through your combined schedule for the upcoming week. Those appointments is where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report this afternoon. Starting here in a few minutes at 3 in the afternoon, you have a public hearing related to revisions to Title 18, where you receive public testimony related to those proposed changes. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February the 5th, at 11:15, you have the opportunity to welcome new county employees to county government. And that will be located on the Human Resources Training Room in Building 4 here at the courthouse campus. Also at noon, I believe Commissioner Menser, Commissioner Edwards will be attending the Rochester Chamber of Commerce. That will be located in the Rochester School District Building, 10140 Highway 12 Southeast, Rochester, Washington. Thursday, February the 6th, at 9 in the morning, you have a budget work session where you'll continue the conversation where you left off last Friday during the planning session. At 10 in the morning on Thursday, February the 6th, you'll have your regular commissioners check-in. An agenda will be posted 24 hours in advance. 1 in the afternoon, you have your monthly Superior Court update. And at 2 in the afternoon, on Thursday, February the 6th, you will have a 2-hour session where you begin the discussing the 2020 docketing process. Nothing on your combined schedule on February the 7th. Nothing on your combined schedule on Monday, February the 10th. Tuesday, February the 11th, you will come back here at 9 in the morning where you have your agenda setting, reviewing the agenda for that afternoon. And also in the afternoon, you will have your Board of County Commissioners, and you have the regular Board of Health at 3 in the afternoon. And I believe in Tuesday, February the 11th, you have been invited to participate on a meet and greet on the top finalists for the Executive Director of the Senior Services, and that will be located on the Olympia Center at 222 Columbia Street Northwest, downtown Olympia. That's all I have for you.
Wonderful. Anything else, sir? Anything else?
No.
Then we're going to be in recess until 1500 or for 20 minutes until 3 o'clock for our public hearing. Thank you.